My recent visit to rural Connecticut to spend a day with Ben Hunt was filled with a series of fascinating lessons, many of which began as observations about the animals that bring life to his family farm, and all of which gave me a new lens through which to view certain aspects of investor behaviour. And while this story explaining what bees can teach us about investing didn't make the final edit, it was just too damn good to leave on the cutting room floor.
So, Grant, I'm this dilettante farmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like animals that pay the rent, right? So we have
value
chickens.
farmer.
That's right, a value farmer.
Yeah.
So chickens I find just to be evil animals, but I like the eggs, right? So they're pretty easy to take care of, and frankly, my kids do all the taking care of them. Sheep, we shear them. We use the wool. Everything else is a pet. The horses, the goats, they're just pets. Bees, though, they pay the rent, and they require so little upkeep, and I just find them amazing animals. I've got two observations about bees, and they've both found their way into Epsilon Theory stories, which I wasn't expecting, but it was just spending time with the bees. It really made me connect with these things that are happening in markets. So the first is that, in realizing this, it kept me from getting stung as much and made a whole difference for me. But the animal is not the individual bee. Mm-hmm. The animal is the colony.
Right.
And once you think of it that way, that the collection of bees, the crowd of bees is the animal to be evaluated and studied, it really changes the way you deal with the animal. Right? And I find that so true now about the way I think about markets, where the animal is not the individual investor.
Yeah.
The animal is us, in the way that we're impacted. But the other thing that I found just amazing about bees, and I didn't really realize until I started using this particular kind of hive, this is called a top bar hive, and what it really is, it's duplicating how bees used to be kept, or originally kept, which is that you'd find a hollow log.
Right.
And then you would just let the bees, this is like an ant farm we had with kids. Uh-huh. It's got a plexiglass side so you can actually see them at work. And you see the combs they've built, right? It's a free-form hive, which allows the bees to do what they would do in nature, but in a way that, as you like, you can harvest some of the combs without breaking open the whole hollow log and the like. So it doesn't maximize your honey production. That's the hives that you typically see, these boxes.
Yeah.
So they were invented by this guy named Langstroth. He was a German Presbyterian or Lutheran minister.
Of course he was.
Of course he was, right?
Of course he was, yeah.
And he designed and those are the beehives you want if you want to try to maximize honey efficiency.
Yeah.
Because it's already structured for the bees. It's all done for the bees. You've got the slats in there and the pre-done combs, and you contain the queen, so you've got these combs that are then filled out with only honey and no larvae or eggs or anything like that. This is very different. It doesn't maximize honey production, but it lets the bees be bees, right? And it lets me see them in a way that you can't in those typical hives. And what I've learned from this is that bees, their great strength is their ability to communicate with each other and act as a colony, right? The other is that they are driven by, empowered by algorithms.
Right.
By structure. They find predictive structure in everything. The day of the summer solstice, when the day the sun is the highest in the sky, is the last day that these bees started building their hive actively for growth. They can measure the angle of the sun's height, and they can remember from day to day. So on June 24th, when the sun's maximum height in the sky is a little bit lower than it was the day before, it's like a message goes out through all the bees.
Winterize. It's time to winterize.
They start winterizing
right.
on June 24th.
Yeah.
Right? And By winterizing, it means changing the way the queen lays her eggs. They're no longer building for growth. They're building to fill this out now with honey. It's amazing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they are literally driven by an algorithm of calculating time and the sun, and they're also driven by building structure. I'll call them their prisoners of structure. Right? What I mean by that is that one of my first hives, I made the mistake of leaving a couple of pieces of wire in the bottom of this empty hollow log, right? Think, oh well, they'll ignore it and it'll be fine. They don't ignore it. They're like humans. They find any type of structure they find in the world. They think, okay, I can build on that.
Right.
I can make something out of that.
Yeah.
Even if what they build ends up being very harmful or destructive to the overall success of the colony. Humans are exactly the same way, right? We see patterns and structure in everything, and we build on that, even if the patterns are spurious, even if it's not helpful for our. It's just amazing how social animals like humans and like bees and like ants share so many of these traits.
Well, and investors too.
And investors too.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Except we tend not to winterize on June 24th.
That's right.
We
yeah.
wait until December 20th and then think,
and then think, oh, what are we going to do?
Amazing.